previously on the What's the Scuttlebutt podcast.
As my first time doing this, I wanted to kind of start from the beginning. And that it was a pretty easy choice for me to pick Greece for the sake of, What's the Scuttlebutt and some of the content there. There was a lot of World War II things that I got to see. Some of the places were very heavy, history in World War II, and the overall tour leader, she knew that. She knew my background. We kind of get to know each other a little bit before we meet. So I sent her some of our content and some of the things that we do in living history, and she said, "Wow, this is really neat stuff." Because in a country like Greece, some of these things are not really thought of, right? Greece it's a very unique country. I will say that. I mean, they're really good at still fighting each other until there's a bigger enemy, and then they'll band together again. But for thousands of years, there's always kind of been this kind of unrest. I mean, we think we've got political unrest in the United States. Nothing like that over there. They want to be America so bad. And you can see it in a lot of the touristy places. You can just see that they want to have the things that we could only complain about.
The What's the Scuttlebutt podcast is available on Stitcher, Spotify, Google Play, iTunes, and wherever fine podcasts are found. You can also download the What's the Scuttlebutt podcast, as well as all podcasts on the Digital 410 network at d-410.com.
Yep. Straight maniac, warlock, Sam Hain of Salem's Lot.
Right now it's too late. Rhythm was a serious thing on the market since date rate. I decided to just, play some Twisted because I'm seeing all these people on TikTok playing like Eminem for the kids. Somehow like Eminem was like the most grotesque, most vile, most, mean rapper of the fucking 90s. No, I can think of a handful more people that had more grotesque, more rude. What record label was Eminem kicked off of again? Oh, that's right, they weren't. I can think of, ICP's Great Malenko album was taken off the shelf 6 hours after it was released by Disney. But, Eminem, you gotta play your kids Eminem for the Gen Z because they're all fucking child's play. What's up, Mike?
All right, fella. Did you get that one out of your system?
Yeah, it's out. I'm just watching on. I played Eminem because of the new Houdini song. Like, well, we played Eminem's original stuff for our kids, and they're shocked, they're triggered. And then there's this montage video of YouTube going on, all these little kids listening to fucking Eminem shit from 2000. They're all acting like they're acting like they're just watched a snuff film. They're like, oh, my, clutching at their pearls and shit. It's like, come on, like his shit was like not even remotely hardcore.
Not even remotely, sir.
Yeah, they got to watch that video. When I was just a little baby boy, my mom used to tell me these crazy things. She used to tell me that she hated me and she was kidding me.
Oh, they should listen. They should listen to the song called "Kim" on the Marshall Mathers LP, the original.
Yep.
That is a.
Anyhow.
Wow.
Before we get started,
we're already started.
I've only got Mike. I've only got Mike in my left channel.
Mono's making a comeback. You don't know that?
What's that?
Mono's making a comeback, so it's good.
Mono.
Hey,
I was listening to the Adam Carolla podcast.
As long as we're doing some AM radio shit, I'm good.
I was listening to Adam Carolla podcast. They recorded live at a theater, and for whatever reason, his microphone and everybody on stage's microphone was coming out of the right channel. The crowd's laughter was coming out of the left channel. And it wasn't live. So the producer could have easily just made another track, flipped the audio, and then just made a generic stereo. But instead, you're driving down your car listening to him talking out your right speaker and the audience listening. And then they would cut to pre-recorded commercial breaks where it was in full stereo. So if we can do that, you can handle that. Can you hear me? Am I in like your left speaker or am I in both?
No, you're stereo.
That's weird.
Am I in stereo now?
Oh, now you're good.
There he was, fiddling with his buttons again.
Yeah, that's what I do.
Yeah, you're
fiddle with my buttons.
You're coming through with dulcet tones in both ears.
So, speaking of fiddling, I want to give a little update because it was just a few, 3 months ago, I was in here bragging about how I got myself a DJI drone, and I know Mike was talking about buying one. I told Mike to hold off because, well, the government. Update on the DJI drone ban. Let's see here. Dateline fucking today. A proposal to ban DJI drones passes a key hurdle in Congress. The measure attached to a larger defense spending bill advanced with a lopsided vote of 57-1. I want to know who that one cat is. In congressional meetings. Once again, they never just write a bill, hey, let's ban drones. They just shove it into shit that has to be voted for, right? You know,
Yeah.
we need to probably pay for this defense spending, seeing how we got like fucking the Russian Navy 38 miles off of Florida. So yeah, we need to pass our defense spending bill, but let's go ahead and cram the DJI drone ban into that bill. Supporters of the ban, like Representative Austin Scott, argue it would reduce reliance on China for critical technology. Scott said the ban would essentially remove communist China from our supply chain. Now, how is both of those even related? Reduce reliance of China on our critical technology. There's no one stopping anybody from developing drones here, and trust me, I wish they had quality drones here. Now, I'm not going to get into the full gambit, but what you guys probably don't know, or well, Mike and Morgan do, but the casual list, they're not outlawing the drone. They don't give it. It has nothing to do with flying cameras. It's not the drone in and of itself. It's the technology, which ironically, the technology was designed by DJI to appease the FAA and the federal government. Here's what I mean. We've talked briefly in the past about how these drones, it takes a real asshole to lose one. And the reason it takes a real asshole to lose one is A, much like a smartphone or a laptop, you have to, well, not a laptop, but much like an iPhone, it's registered to an account. So that's cool. So if you lose it, someone else can't just put it in the air. You have to register to account and synchronize it. But more importantly, it uses GPS to fly. And that same app also incorporates all of our air traffic control laws. If you try to fly over 150 meters, it gives you a warning. Hey, if you fly above this, you put yourself in potential issues. Some areas of breaking the law, flying higher than the FAA will allow you. More importantly, if you head out to the local airport, you can't fly it. It shows you on the Google Maps, big old red bar. This is controlled airspace. You cannot fly in a space, and it physically will not let that drone. It creates it stops it. And these are all technologies that no one else made. DJI created this stuff to make the FAA and other developed countries, their governments happy too. You can't just have these things flying into a jet engine's turbine and taking out a plane on accident.
Yeah.
And like I said, when I flew over Sanibel's Causeway, I could only fly a certain height because there was a med flight path for the hospital over there. So we'll see what happens. It's got to go to the next round. But the sticky wicket in all this is towns like Cape Coral, a lot of towns in Denver, Idaho, places where it has a lot of wilderness. A lot of search and rescue municipalities use DJI drones, and they don't use the $250 one I got. They use like the $1,400 one, the big expensive ones. And so if this ban goes through, all these small municipalities, fire departments, police departments. I know Cape Coral, being on the cutting edge, just announced their police department's drone program. So all these companies are going to have to buy new shit. So here's the hope.
Well, even
in
in the construction industry, you have roofers and stuff like that. I mean, you were doing it with your father, making sure that the roof was all squared away.
And what happened?
Just the other day.
And what happened? What did we discover after 2 years?
You discovered that tree limb that was in the.
My dad had a tree branch from the hurricane stuck through his aluminum roof on his trailer.
Yeah.
And because he saw my video, hey, you got a drone? Yeah. Can you come inspect my roof? And I did, and we found it. My mom told me after the hail. My mom was one of the people in Kentucky had the hail store. The hail was so bad it fucked up her roof and her siding. And she said when the roofing company came out, instead of it was quicker for them to put a drone up in the air. And then if they saw something, then let's get out the ladders, extend them, and it's safer, right?
It's way safer to use a drone as opposed, nowadays, as opposed to going into those dangerous areas, especially after storms, especially after even like fires or something like that. I mean, buildings become unstable, after fires and whatnot. Why can't fire departments fly them in there?
I'm sure a claims adjuster for a roofing company could tell you how many times a year a roofer's gone up on a roof after a storm and has slipped on a loose piece of shingle that was pulled loose from the wind or a hailstorm. Yep. But yeah,
my sister bought one specifically because of that.
Yeah, and so here's the hoping that doesn't happen. But let's say hypothetically the DJI drones do get outlawed because of the software. For my sake, I hope Other DJI products don't get outlawed. We'll get to that in a minute. We've been kind of Debbie Downering it lately, and it's Father's Day month, right? Father's Day is right around the corner this week. As a matter of fact, all three of us have little shit kids, and some of us have adult shit kids. And so I thought we'll liven up the mood a little bit tonight. Let's talk Father's Day.
All right.
Now, do you guys have that family member who just can't hold or hide a present? Like as soon as they get it in the door, they want to give it to you?
Well, before we get into that, let's just say Happy Father's Day to all three of us. Neither, we're not going to be on the show until after Father's Day, so Happy Father's Day to both of you guys. And
oh, I'm sorry. I thought I said that when I acknowledged that we all three have asshole kids. I thought that meant the same thing, right?
Sure, I guess so, yeah.
But Mike's newly married. He's got that shiny family, so happy Father's Day, Mike. Morgan, happy you got little shit kids to you after a certain while, But no, you have full adult. Well, you're a grandfather now, aren't you?
Kids. Oh, yeah. Yeah, I've got my third's on the way. So
my daughter, because I had my daughter so young, I told her when she was like 18, I said, if you make me a 32-year-old grandfather, I'm going to whoop your ass.
I have a friend who her first granddaughter was born when she was 39.
Well, I started doing the math. I'm like, I think I made my dad a late 30s, early 40s grandfather because I became a father at 17. So, but I was the last child born. So I think he was about 25 when I was born. So he may have made it out of his 30s before I made him a grandfather.
My dad was in his 50s when he became a grandfather.
That's about the sweet spot, right?
Yeah.
Actually,
yeah, I think so.
I'll tell you.
I think maybe a little younger.
I'll be 53 next month, and my oldest grandson just turned 4.
Yeah, no.
And it is absolutely the greatest thing to be able to be young enough to still keep up with him, but old enough to to be a papa. So right. I mean, I love it.
I think there's some advantages to having kids younger. A, you're younger when they're old enough to get the fuck out of the house and you can still go do cool shit. B, Amen. The true advantage of having a kid as young as I did at 17, when your kid gets to be 15 to 18, you're still young enough to remember what it was like to be that age, whereas a lot of people who maybe they have kids when they're 45 and now they're in their mid 50s when their kids get the teenage years, we tend to change our opinion about stupid all the teenage assholes.
Well, yeah, there's a major disconnect when like my dad and I mean, we grew up in two different eras.
Yeah.
He was 31 when I was born. I'm 32 now. My son was born when I was 19, so it's like I feel like I can relate a little bit more to him because I only graduated high school fucking 13 years ago. So and he's getting into those ages now. So.
And to that point, let's all be honest, we're all kids until we're 35 anyhow, right?
Sure.
And so, I mean, we're all central, unless you join the military
I'm still a kid.
Yeah. I was saying, unless you like join the military and like ranked up and got put into positions of, responsibility real quick. For the most part, most dudes are still kids until they're in their 30s. And so, yes, to
my
Mike's
dad
point,
is 63 this year. He's still a fucking kid at heart, I swear. The body may not be there, but the fucking mind is right there. He's still, dick and fart jokes and
yeah, but even when you as a quote unquote immature dude, when you get in your 40s and 50s, you still start to think more like a 40 and 50-year-old. Whereas when you're 30, you can clearly remember what it was like when you're 21 and 18, and so you can relate more to the shit that we look at when we're 40 and 50. Say none of that shit matters. At the end of the day, the shit you're going through doesn't matter. You're making, but when you're 32, yeah, I can kind of, So yeah, so happy Father's Day to all y'all. I thought it'd be kind of fun. A public service announcement. Maybe some wives and girlfriends and baby mamas can hear this, and maybe some kids can hear this. We're going to do a top 10 of Father's Day gifts that we don't fucking want. So if you're wondering what should we get Father for Father's Day, and here's some things not to get us. Here's a top 10. I want to give each of you One guess is first round, and let's see if your guess is on the list. Mike, what's something that you think dudes don't want for Father's Day?
Socks or some kind of clothing.
Socks or sometimes of clothing. So that's pretty broad as far when you add sometimes of clothing. Would we put tie in that list?
Sure.
Don't steal mine. Don't steal mine. That's what I was going to say.
Ties. Number 8. Ties are generic.
Nobody wants a tie for Father's Day.
Unless you're a lawyer or a fucking news broadcaster where you got to wear a different tie every day. But even still, they probably
doesn't matter. You still don't want a tie for Father's Day.
Ties are generic greeting cards of dad gift world. Even if you find one you think he'll love, at the end of the day, it's just a tie. Instead, buy him a certificate for tailoring services. There isn't a man on the planet who has a suit that couldn't stand to have it altered, either because I got fat or skinny. This is the perfect gift for dad who likes to keep things nice and practical. I bought a sport coat before we went on the cruise. The first one I was looking at, the sleeves were the perfect length, but it was a little short because of my long-ass torso. Luckily, they had one with a nice long torso, but now the sleeves are a little long, so your shirt don't hang out the length in which it should. Didn't have time to get it tailored before the cruise, but now I got this nice sport coat. I'm thinking I need to go and have the sleeves shortened a half an inch so that when I wear a nice shirt under there, it exposes the sleeves as it should. Morgan, give you a fair chance. What do you think? What else do you think is possibly on this list? So let me just clear the platform. No more clothing items are on this list. So don't go with
grilling tools.
What was that?
Grilling tools. Spatulas and tongs. And
Spatula City. Spatula City. Spatula City. Spatula City. We sell spatulas, and that's all. Let's see here. I thought I will give you half a point because I was looking at another list that had that, but I thought everything else on there was way too boring and generic. But I will give you the same respect that I gave Mike. And so in the food category, wine, cheese, or chocolate. Sure, all these are delectable gifts, but they're so boring and so expected. Nothing says, I remember this Father's Day this morning better than a package of wine and cheese in a basket. Instead, buy him tickets to a wine tasting, cheese sampling, or chocolate making class. If dad has a penchant for all things gourmet, he'll love these awesome expressions that allow him to spend the day devoted to his food, drink, or obsession of choice. Plus, it makes a great date with mom. Yeah, good luck with that. You can even score affordable tickets to those local events and have other fun adventures. Real quick, other items on
I think like a distillery tour or something like that would be way much better than a bottle of wine or something like that.
Perfect example, my cousin still live in Kentucky. His father-in-law, he met his wife down here. His father-in-law lives in Orlando. Like, one year he came up there and they did the bourbon distillery tour. They went to like all the major bourbon makers in Kentucky.
Oh, yeah.
That would be fun.
A buddy of mine did that, and from the sounds of it, there wasn't a sober one of them by about the third one.
On that,
even though we've talked about the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, I think that would be another good gift. Is take your dad or something to go at least to the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame,
or a museum,
logistics,
or a museum that represents his interest. Maybe your dad's a farmer and he's got a fucking hard on for John Deere's. Take him to a tractor museum.
Yeah.
What Mike said, Rock and Roll Museum. You know, a World War II guy like me, hey, we're going to drive up to New Orleans and go to the National Museum of World War II. Right. I'm
not a World War II guy, and I think that would be cool as shit.
Yeah.
I don't want to be the turd in a punch bowl, but when it comes to museums, if you like artifacts and like seeing shit that existed, don't go to the National Museum of World War II in New Orleans. I've never been there, but I've had plenty of people on my show who've actually been on the panel there. The National Museum of World War II is modern enough to realize that young kids don't care about old socks and shit from the 40s. It's all interactive. It's all digital. There's actually very few artifacts. If you're into artifacts, you'll want to go to like the National Museum of the Pacific War in Fredericksburg and some of the other museums. But the actual one in New Orleans actually has more interactive movie type modern day digital displays and less. I mean, they do have, planes and large scale shit. But, if you want to see like the small scale stuff that you can see, in a lot of other museums, it won't be there. So that is the main difference between those two.
That's me personally. I'd rather see like all the shit.
Yeah, me too.
What they were using and
I'm with you.
Yeah.
K-bars and stuff, shit like that.
Because let's be honest, that shit you guys have, I could go watch that in an IMAX theater and get the same experience, right?
Yeah.
You can't watch a picking up the helmet or actually seeing, oh shit, there's Wild Bill Garnier's helmet. The guy, he actually lived that. There's his fucking helmet, opposed to seeing it talked about on a video screen. It's like, well, I could watch Band of Brothers and get the same effect. Back to what Morgan was saying. What do you guys think would be more enjoyable? I guess it depends on how much of an alcoholic you are. A bourbon distillery tour, a wine distillery tour, or one of those world of beer things like they have at Hammond Stadium where you show up and there's like all these vendors and you just walk around the Dixie Cup trying different beers.
I think the bourbon distillery.
What if it was a
'Cause
level
I'm not
playing?
a wine guy, so
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. It depends on your.
Sorry, not the.
preference.
I didn't mean to say the last two, but I do the beer and I do the whiskey. Wine, yeah, maybe if my wife wanted to go, but
I wouldn't do the.
Yeah, I'm with you.
I wouldn't do the beer, and I didn't do the beer. I had options too when I worked at the radio station, and the reason why is I'm that asshole that you guys take out. Hey, we're going to go to the fucking House of Beers. They serve 200 beers on tap. Poor Stan has done this with Don. We've gone out to the World of Beer 3 times. Guess what kind of beer Don orders when sitting at the World of Beer?
Miller Lite.
Miller Lite.
Yes, and sadly they don't have it, so I get some other random light beer. I'm not a beer aficionado.
I do the same thing. I got taken to what's it called, Oakenstone down in Naples, and I think it's Oakenstone or
You got any natural light?
and they've got all 100 beers on the wall, and I'm the one guy that's like, which one tastes the most like Bud Light?
Yeah.
So when I go visit my kids in Huntsville, we go to this microbrew place that has great pizza. And, same thing. They've got the video screens up on the wall with like 90 different beers with all these
IPAs and all
weird
that
ass
shit.
names. Yeah. And my kid will stand on one side of me. I'll be looking at the bartender and they'll see that I'm completely lost.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, I just want regular guy beer. Give me something that tastes like Yingling or,
But sir, can't I recommend to you
something I'm
this
used to.
wonderful IPA? It's called Last Weekend Socks. It's really delectable. It goes very well with a hamburger. No, fucker. Give me
They'll
more
laugh
light.
at me when I'm like, just give me some regular guy beer.
Yeah, and then they look at you like
I
you're
don't-
some like fucking moron. Like, oh, look at this. Look at this guy.
I can't.
Yeah, well,
I can't-
they already look at me like I'm completely out of my comfort zone
Hey, look,
because
pal.
I'm, twice as old as everybody in the place because I'm there with my kid.
If I want to order
So-
something fancy, I'll go with that Stella Artois.
Stella Artois. See, I don't care for the IPA scene, or and I think that's like bougie, like fucking,
Bougie.
I drink nitro brew and I drink IPAs, and I specifically Don and I know somebody who's just like that, and he calls my Bud Light and Budweiser water beer.
Mental
So-
note, cancel sponsorship meeting with Cape Coral Brewery tomorrow.
So I'm not a big IPA guy. The only one that I like, and I think it's Sweetwater, maybe is the
Piss
and
water.
it's their yeah, and it's the 420 IPA. And it tastes like bong water basically, but for some reason, I can tolerate that, but most other IPAs I can't.
Believe it or not, I think my favorite beer. I heard about it from a YouTuber or something like that a while back.
Last weekend
It was called Lone Star.
Yeah, that's old Texas beer. Stan Haney used to talk about that too.
Well, I at the time I couldn't find it anywhere, especially in I lived in North Carolina at the time. It wasn't any. It's only local in there. I mean, now they'll ship it to other areas, but it's like a 6-pack is like $15. So it's
Yeah,
like,
we had
nah.
somebody send us a case of it when Stan Haney were talking about it. They sent a case
Yeah.
from Texas.
Matter of fact, you know what? I might have heard it on Stan and Haney, and you know, I was like, oh man, I got to try that. And we went to Texas for a concert, and I got to try it, and I was like, man, that's just fucking awesome.
Speaking of
that.
Texan,
I love it.
congratulations to Dr. Pepper. Mike, are you one of those Pepsi pussies? That's a yes. That's a fucking affirmative if I've seen
So
one.
if I go get
Pepper and
soda,
vodka.
if I go get soda, I usually go for a Coke.
Okay.
I'm from the South. Everything is Coke.
That is so true. We'll get to that in a second. For some reason, I thought you were one of these Pepsi pussies. No, by the way, I don't know if you guys probably heard Dr. Pepper has surpassed Pepsi.
Number
2 now. Yeah, because Pepsi tastes like fucking stale Coke. Only Pepsi product I drink is Mountain Dew, which Mountain Dew needs to do what we want to do with California and break off. But but yes, to Mike's point, I remember growing up in Kentucky, especially 1980. You come to my house, my cousin's house. Hey, Mike, you want a Coke? You say yes. You say, what kind? What do you have? Mountain Dew, Mellow Yellow, fucking Orange Crush.
It didn't.
Soda was Coke.
Yep.
You had Coke, and then you had all the subcategories, whether it's Mountain Dew, Dr. Pepper, Coke, Cherry Coke, Orange Crush. Everything was Coke.
Growing up in the Northwest, I had a completely different experience.
Soda.
Everything
soda
out
pop.
there was a pop.
Yep.
Yeah.
Kentucky, it was Coke. Ohio was Pop, and then I know some people from the Northeast called it soda or soda pop.
Yeah, you're one of those fucked up ones if you call it soda pop.
Soda pop.
Yeah.
Do you guys have one of those members in your family who just can't store a gift? Like it's Father's Day, the gift comes today, and here, open it. It's it's not Father's Day. Well, maybe it's
That's
your birthday
my wife.
gift. My birthday's not today either.
My youngest son is like that. He's just so excited. It's like, here, got you.
When we
my wife
first
is
adopted
like that.
Sariana for Christmas, oh, Dad, here's your present. It's this. It's like, tell me what it is. We can unwrap it. She's so excited. Well, today's that day. I came home today, and my Father's Day gift was here, and Carrie was like, open it. I'm like, huh? She's like, open it. I'm like, it's not Father's Day. She's like, well, maybe it's a birthday present. My birthday's the 29th. It's even further away. We've been trying to improve things here at Digital 410, especially when it comes to our video editing and all that. Did you guys see the Matt Lachey video, what we did?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
That was Carrie doing the voiceover work.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
And the video I did on the cruise actually has quite a few views now, but there's a lot of shaky video because I'm holding my hand like this.
Yeah.
Well, we are both members of the TikTok creator. Well, it used to be Creator Fun, but I left to do the TikTok shop thing, which I don't do because I don't want to turn my TikTok into poor man's QVC. Which, by the way, shout out to fucking TikTok for convincing a bunch of Americans to hawk your cheap Chinese shit on fucking TikTok. Because they're doing a great job of that. But as a creator, you can ask for samples. And I'd seen these people selling gimbals, and I asked for a sample, and they denied me. Well, Carrie got me a fucking gimbal for Father's Day, and not only is it a gimbal, back to our previous conversation, she got me the DJI, I think it's like the Nomo 6, and my first question I had, because I had a gimbal for my original GoPro, but it only worked with the original GoPro because it has to take in consideration the weight in order for the gimbal to work properly. And I knew that Ron was still using his old school GoPro, and so I gave it to him because it didn't work with the new ones. And so the first question I had was, how does this thing balance? Is it phone specific? No, you have to download the app on your phone, and then it tells the gimbal, it's so damn smart, what the measurements and the weight and everything is of your phone. Yep. But this thing, Mike, essentially turns my goddamn phone into a DJI camera. It has follow mode just like a drone does. So I could set this down and record a video and walk back and forth, and it'll follow me. This thing is freaking amazing. We were dicking around with it before, but yeah, so I'm definitely going to be using this thing a lot more. So I'm excited for that.
When we had the bait business and we were trying to get that off the ground, we had a community fund that we were putting money into, and we actually bought one of those, and that was probably one of the coolest investments is is
You still have it?
the gimbal. I don't. He took it up with him.
Oh, of course he did.
Yeah.
And it doubles as a tripod, so it's very cool. I was dicking around with it earlier.
He's got our lavalier mics, and he's got our DJI Nunum or whatever it is.
Yeah, I got some lavalier mics too that I bought for when I went to Texas, but I never ended up using them. I used them there when I did a video, but I haven't really used them here. But back to
the lav mics are nice when you have that going at the same time. So
yeah, back to the list just for the women trying to take notes. Number 10, don't get your husband mugs or glassware. Personalized glassware mugs are cheesy, saying world's greatest dad, anyone? Or overdone. Sure, they might look cute sitting on a shelf, and dad might get some sort of use out of them, but they're totally unoriginal, uninspired. Besides, what would venture to guess he probably already has enough glasses and mugs to drink from, especially if he's married to a teacher. Every year at the end of the year, Carrie comes home with a fucking metric ton of mugs and glasses that the parents give them. Drugstore shaving supply. Simply put, Dad probably knows how to find his way around the shaving aisle of a drugstore. Instead, buy him a next level shaving equipment from leather. Oh, this is an advertisement. From leather dope kits for shaving accessories. Yeah, we already discussed the tie. Movie theater gift cards. Movie theater gift cards are probably a popular choice for Father's Day gift. After all, it's easy. Everyone loves going to the movies, and it's a way for him to show mom a good time, right? However, this gift is sort of left down because it's only a one-time deal. Go ahead, Mike.
Does everyone like to go to the movies these days still?
No. I haven't liked going to the movies since 2008.
I haven't been to a movie since Avengers Endgame.
Maybe if it's an IMAX. Actually, I haven't done it. I would like to go to a movie, but only on Wednesdays and only at Regal because they play throwback shit, right? You can get out of movies and watch Blazing Saddles on the big screen, or you can watch Die Hard or watch the original Terminator, which would be cool to watch those on a big screen. But modern day movies, it's like, do I want to sit in a room with a bunch of yapping ass kids, people on their cell phones, people fighting, or watching on my 60-inch high definition screen in my fucking house where I can scratch my balls if I want to, and get up and drink a beer and save it.
A lot of these movies that are coming out, those video on demand and what is it now that they call that, direct from theater or something?
Yeah, you just wait 3 days now.
Direct to video kind of thing.
Yeah, that kind of stuff. So, you stream it. Yeah, you'll probably, it'll be cheaper for you to go to the gas station, get a bag of fucking Skittles and a Butterfinger bar, pour yourself a fucking fountain drink for
and then pay $15 for the movie on demand, and it's still cheaper
for the movie,
and it's still cheaper.
Still cheaper. How much is a movie ticket these days? $15?
I think the last time I took my daughter to the movies, it was like $15, $20 a piece.
We used to go to the movies for $20 between 3 people.
Back in my day.
Yeah, fucking right back in my day.
You go to a comedy club for the same price.
I remember when we used to be able to go to movies for 50 cents.
Damn skippy,
I do remember
son.
the Dollar Theater. Those were the old runs,
yeah.
The old run movies. That's where I saw Jackie Brown. I saw it at the Dollar Theater.
You get you a matinee for $25 on a Sunday afternoon.
So kind of like you were talking about with the older movies, Fathom Events has all kinds of cool stuff. And it was supposed to be in 2020. They were supposed to have the 40th anniversary of the Blues Brothers.
Mm-hmm.
And I was going to go see that in the theater, and then they canceled it because of COVID. So I'm hoping that they decide to do it again for like the 45th, because that's one of the movies I would love to see on the big screen.
Yeah.
Now, for people watching the weather throughout the nation, they know that Florida's getting their asses a little damp right now. Morgan, how's everything on your front? I know like an hour and a half ago you were concerned about water possibly encroaching into your home again because you live in the lowlands.
It's receded nicely. The sun came out and it was bright blue sky, and now it's my driveway is dry again. all the way out to the street, whereas, 2 or 3 hours ago, the water was about 2 feet from my garage door. So,
And I was just
didn't
recently
even-
at your house, so I have a pretty good idea of what that means.
We didn't even get that much rain during the fucking hurricane.
yeah.
Because when I was here, it was interesting because the sewers in the parking lot here and all the drains and everything like that were backing up today because of how much rain it had been raining for the past 2 or 3 days. When the hurricane came through, they backed up a little bit, but that was only because of all the fucking leaves and branches.
Well, that's what I was going to ask Morgan. Is this a lack of drainage logistics systems, or is this just shit's clogged up and Fort Myers don't take care of their stuff?
Well, where I am, at least, my a good buddy of mine, he's lived in my neighborhood for 50 years. And 4 or 5 years ago, before Hurricane Irma, it flooded just ridiculously in my neighborhood, like they'd never seen. And then, of course, so I had damage from that. And then, of course, 2 weeks later, we had Hurricane Irma that flooded my house again. And it's, I think what it is you can only pave and asphalt and fill so many low spots to put up commercial properties and residential developments and all this other stuff that, stick built apartment complexes so we can house all of the people that want to come to Southwest Florida.
Yeah.
You can only take so much permeable surface and cover it with impermeable surface. And, that water's got to go somewhere. So it goes in my house.
Yeah, that's true.
And if that's not bad enough in Fort Myers, Florida, then you have cases like the woman who died after climbing into a storm drain in Fort Myers Country Club on Wednesday. She's been identified. Fort Myers, the police say a 44-year-old was naked standing near the golf course when they asked her if she was okay, at which point she climbed down into a sewer drain like a fucking Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle, made her way deeper into the system, got stuck,
and drowned.
So that was kind of a dumb question, because if you're standing by Fort Myers Country Club naked, clearly you're not okay.
Yes, and because for those you not in Fort Myers, you're thinking Fort Myers Country Club, that sounds idyllic and picturesque. Sure, it was before they closed it down or stopped mowing the grass 2 years ago.
Yeah.
Well, any place where I can afford to play golf is not a good place.
Yeah.
Or any place that allows me to show up with my golf clubs from 1994 is not a good place.
Well, it's funny you say that, because my clubs are literally from 1994.
The woman died after she climbed into the storm drain at the Fort Myers Country Club, as we previously said. Fort Myers police said the 44-year-old Adriana Labrera was naked, standing near the golf course when a man asked her if she was okay. Labrera told the man she was okay and that she had her body armor on.
You all right?
I wonder what sort of PCP or mescaline she was on. Do people do mescaline nowadays? He said he pulled forward on Hill Avenue until police arrived. The last time he saw her, she was standing on the gate of the storm drain. I'm sorry, the grate of the storm drain, because I can't read. Reports state when the officers got out of their patrol car, the woman was no longer in sight. The officer watched the grate move, and then he could hear the voice coming from inside the drain. Hello! I'm down here.
So was she looking for Splinter or what?
I think she was looking for it. Advertisements, moving my paragraph from. The report states that when the officers got out of the car, I'm sorry, we already read that part because this advertisement readjusted my paragraphs. Fort Myers police said they arrived when they found the woman in adjacent sewer drain 50 feet from the original location. Firefighters went inside the drain to pull the woman out, but she resisted and went into another drain. It's like Mario's wife. The emergency services arrived to help, but the woman was ultimately pronounced dead inside the drain, according to the police reports.
Oh.
Personal items were also found in front of the business along Cleveland Avenue, including, of course, a wallet and ID. Yeah. So, Florida man's not the only crazy one. We have Florida woman.
I got no sympathy. I'm sorry. I'm an asshole.
And
like
if that doesn't fulfill your
natural
bloodlust,
selection to me.
if that doesn't fulfill your bloodlust, more Fort Myers fun. Man holding dismembered torso of roommate fatally shot by police. Did you guys hear this
Oh my
story?
God.
Oh, is this the Haitian dude that chopped up his roommate because he was pissed off at him?
Let's find out. Fort Myers, Florida. A Florida man was shot and killed by police after he was found holding a knife and a dismembered body while climbing out of the window inside it. Well, so this was the torso. They have it underneath his arm like a fucking stereo from 1980. Like when you break into a house, you're like running back.
Got the boom box up on his shoulder.
Oh my God.
According to the press release from the Fort Myers Police Department, officers responded to the area of Grand Avenue and Waltman Street just after 11:30 p.m. And it was reported that a woman and two small children were hiding in a carport. When the officers arrived on the scene, the woman said her husband, later identified as 33-year-old Willie Lemaine, was actively killing her roommate, according to the release. Officers then found an open door and a blood trail in the front of the home. That is when officers established a perimeter around the home and began giving verbal commands to Lemaine to try to locate him and other possible victims. Eventually, Lemaine went to the rear window and began to smash it out with a large knife, according to the release. Lemaine climbed out of the window while holding a knife and what appeared to be a dismembered body part while ignoring commands from the police to drop the knife. Lemaine was heading towards the officers when he was shot and killed by the police, according to the police release. During the course of investigation, it was evident that a violent attack had occurred, you don't say, inside the residence. According to victim statements, the victim's mutilated, dismembered body was found inside and outside of the home. The investigation into this murder and the police shooting are still active.
Oh my goodness.
Dude went full, well, with the exception of eating them, the dude damn near went full Jeffrey Dahmer.
Yep.
The victim was found inside and outside the home.
Yeah, I know.
Jesus Christ. What kind of sick,
my
sadistic
gosh.
shit is going on in this fucking town?
I don't know.
I gotta get the fuck out of here.
You need to move back over to Cape Coral where it's safe.
Fuck, I'm fat and I can't run that fast.
I mean, in Cape Coral, let's see. My neighbor down the street from where I currently lived was stabbed 17 times on Father's Day. And then the house I lived in 8 years ago, my neighbor was shot and killed in his front yard for moving marijuana in and out of his house. So come to Cape Coral. At least we don't dismantle people in their fucking bedrooms.
Oh my gosh.
Jesus H, dude.
Speaking of Cape
So I
Coral.
want to jump in.
Yeah, go ahead. Jump in.
So, we were talking about Father's Day coming up. Tomorrow, June 14th, two of the most important, I don't know if you'd call them holidays or what, but tomorrow is Flag Day.
Okay.
Pretty dang important.
So is this Pride
And it is
flag or
also-
Black Lives Matter flags? Which one are we flying tomorrow?
I don't know. I mean, I'm pretty proud of my American flag. So
Oh, you're
I mean,
one
I
of
guess
those
we could call
old-fashioned
that.
guys, silly.
Yeah, I mean, I've been around a long time, so
I got a 48-star flag.
This
Don't challenge
podcast
me.
just got fucking canceled already, so.
I have a 48-star flag in here somewhere.
I've got one too that was my grandmother's. So, but tomorrow, and Mike, you'll appreciate this too, is the birthday of the greatest fighting force on the face of the planet,
Space Force.
made up of the best, highest functioning alcoholics that I have ever had the pleasure of knowing in my life, the United States Army.
Goddamn
Who
cool.
fuck-
And I
Fucking
think it's yeah, hooah! I think it's 248 years this year. I'd have to look it up, but I'm a proud former soldier. I know Mike's a proud former soldier.
Right on, brother.
So
One of the
gotta give
coolest
props to the Army.
one of the coolest things I got to participate in as a living historian until fucking COVID came. Because oftentimes we non-military people who are wearing these uniforms from back in the day, we often wonder how active military personnel feel about civilians wearing old Army uniforms. My buddy Jerry and I kind of took over our group after Rob left, John left, and we were doing First ID for a while, and we were at an event, and forgive me, this is 2018. I forget the person's rank, but one of the guys in charge of the South Florida Army party planning committee, I guess you could call it. His job was to organize the Army's birthday dinner at the Hilton in Tampa. And he asked Jerry if we could come set up a D-Day display in the lobby of Hilton, right? Well, not in the main lobby, but outside of the hall where they're having their meals at. And so Jerry had some, those obstacles you see on the beaches, and we brought tables down there, and I brought my mannequin and the 82nd Airborne uniform, and then I put on my Class B. I didn't have a Class A jacket at the time. And we had set this shit up. Every person who came through there was super excited to see all this. Once again, it's not pictures. We had helmets and web gear and all that stuff. And obviously we didn't eat with them, but we did get to go get some food in another room. But I'll tell you what, that is like, I'm sure you guys have seen it. Everybody in their uniforms, their wives in like fucking ball gowns and shit. That was some highfalutin stuff. But every person, and Jerry and I also said, look, we're going to go down there. We're wearing uniforms. Take off any of our fake bullshit ranks we have. I'm not going to go into the Hilton where we're sergeant stripes on my jacket when a real sergeant who earned that shit. So we went in there just looking like a bunch of privates. No medals, no ribbons, just a basic uniform. Because, I'm not going to insult these guys who actually deserve this shit, by wearing a make-believe version of it. But they were super excited. They appreciated what we did. And so it was kind of like, okay, we kind of got the official pass. Like, we're down with what you guys are doing, keeping the memory of the Army alive, and the ability of us to have all this stuff there for the modern day soldiers. And every one of them said the same thing. It's like, I could mentally, because obviously they're on their Class A's, but mentally comparing their field uniforms to, as I've said before, we landed on D-Day in our Sunday best. I mean, the guys had on wool trousers, wool button-up shirt, just like they would have worn to church if they were back in tie, a cotton jacket. The only thing that made it a tactical uniform was you put some leggings on your boots to keep your shoes from getting sucked off in the sand. You have a backpack, a helmet, and a rifle. But other than that, they were literally just invading Normandy and what they would have been wearing at home and working at the office.
Yeah. Yeah, I think in situations like that, because I'm a very big advocate for don't fucking steal my valor.
Mm-hmm.
Don't wear my uniform disrespectfully. Don't, I fucking put on that uniform every day for 6 years. Morgan put on that fucking uniform every day for his time in service, and we fucking earned that shit. And it pisses me off so much when I see people that are out there fucking, I did this and I did that, and you're fucking lying straight through their teeth.
Yeah,
They're wearing my fucking uniform and disgracing my uniform like that. Where it's different when it's guys like you who are out there, trying to, you're not stealing it. You're not out there every day, like, oh yeah, I fucking served and I did this and I did that. You're preserving history. So there's a major
respectful
difference,
about it,
and you're respectful about it too. The fact that you guys pulled your stripes off and went in there and tried to be respectful, that just says a lot alone. Would it have bothered them? Probably not. It probably wouldn't have, because they also know that you're just trying to preserve a piece of everything that guys like us have done. You know what I mean?
Yeah, but the other part of it for us too was we knew here we are in uniforms, walking around in a Hilton, and there's going to be a lot of civilians there who don't know the difference between a uniform from 1942 and one from 2018. So we don't want some civilians thinking we're like some high-ranking officials either. So
right.
Yeah. But that also did produce the greatest photo I have. I have a photo of me walking through the Hilton in Tampa with a fucking Madu slung over my shoulder.
I love it.
What were you going to say, Morgan?
Oh, man. Oh, well, now, especially since they brought back the browns and the pinks, it could easily Well, I
They
mean,
brought
not
back
that
the
anybody
hats
would know
too.
that.
They got the leather brim hats now too. They brought those back.
Oh, I know, I know.
That's such a classy
I mean,
uniform.
they had to do something because, and I think Michael probably agree. We get our asses handed to us as Army
Hmm.
when it comes to dress uniforms
Oh.
because as much as it pains me to say, the Corps has the best dress uniforms of any branch of the service.
Hmm.
There's mine right there. It sits there every day. It is way out of fucking whack, so don't tear me up.
Oh my gosh,
I
look
need
at that.
I need to get my ribbons and stuff fixed because the little pin that you stick through it broke actually the stem. But yeah,
What kind of ruler and protractor did you use to put those things
oh
on?
fuck, I haven't, dude. I was 140 pounds lighter when I wore that uniform, so it's been a while. You know what I mean? The fucking rank isn't even right.
I got rid of I had the greens. So,
I had both
mine were
actually.
okay.
Yeah, I had both because when I first got in, they were still doing greens, and then and I think it was only I think officers were the only ones that had the
Yeah.
blues when
Yeah.
everybody was still doing greens, and then they went to this universal uniform type situation where everybody got blues. So I ended up getting greens and I got blues, and yeah,
I
Blues
those
was
hardly ever wore mine.
no,
blue.
And we had
I
a
wore mine once maybe.
Blue is kind of an odd choice too, because that's more Air Force, ain't it? The actual color blue when it comes to Class A's.
Uh, yeah, probably.
At least I know it
I
was in the
mean,
'80s and early '90s. I don't know
well,
what the.
well, it's crazy because Army had blues that were like navy blue. So,
yeah, yeah. I know the dress, the slacks are like a navy blue. I'm not sure if the the jacket is. I'm not sure if it's blue or not, but
and then you've got that bright ass white shirt
oh
that
yeah,
you have to
that
try to
just
keep white. I mean,
shines.
at
It
least mine was
shines through
green.
that
So,
jacket. Yeah, yeah, and
yeah, and God forbid that because we only really wore our Class A's at, change of command ceremonies or, uh, you know, we had like a Christmas dinner every year
yeah.
that our commander put on that we had to, put on the dog for. And,
We
that was when I discovered how fat I had gotten since the last year because I tried to put it on and the pants don't fit. And I'm like, shit, now I got to go down to uniform, and get a new pair of pants. And
yeah.
that's expensive.
See, I would actually, well, those I got the last time I wore those, I was in training. I had just gotten out of AIT in Missouri. We graduated in those.
Hmm.
I graduated in ACUs in basic training, and then I graduated
Okay.
in blues. I graduated in AIT in Missouri, and then I haven't put those on. Actually, no, I put them on once for a Christmas party because my uncle, I think, wanted to see me wearing the uniform. And then
Okay.
I haven't put them on since, obviously for, physical obvious reasons. But yeah, I was like a fucking 164 pounds when I maybe 100, no, I was like 174 pounds when I had those tailored to me. And
Hmm.
yeah, they no longer fit no more. But
I was 187 when I had mine done,
yeah.
and it's been a really, really long time since I've seen 187.
I was just talking to my wife a couple days ago that I want to go to an installation and get them redone. Even though I'm, you know, double that size now, I still want to, keep them nice and stuff like that because I still got friends that are in and uh, as we're getting older, I got a buddy of mine. I mean, he still gets deployed to this day. I mean, God forbid he doesn't come back or something like that. I would want to go give him his proper respect. So,
Yeah, that's not something you want to have to do last minute.
yeah, no. So I would like to get them updated with all my correct wards and my highest rank achieved, and get them all
So,
shining bright. But
Mike sent me a text on Monday or Tuesday. He found
did?
something fun in the trash. Where did you find this particular item in the trash, Mike? Was it in your apartment complex or was it here in the Cape?
Cape Compton.
So you're just driving down the street and you just turn into a recycle guy?
No, it was I was actually at work when I found it. For those of you that don't know, I work in new construction in the plumbing field, and I was at a job on, I don't remember where I got it. I think it was on Tuesday. I was at a job on Tuesday and I saw a computer tower in the trash.
You sent me a picture of this Diablo tag, and at first I'm doing a second.
Yeah.
I'm like, did he get in my house? Because I got that same case out in my garage. I'm like, did I throw my computer away?
No. So I was like, oh, that's cool. Maybe, I'll open it up and see, what it's got in it and blah, 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 blah.
So he sends me photos of the
trash.
RAM and the processor, and I'm thinking, okay, well, it's probably just a box. I'm sure there's no hard drive in it.
Right. No, it's in there. It's definitely in there. This is a full functioning computer.
So it fires right on up.
Huh?
So it fired right on up?
Yep. I get home, I put one monitor on it, I put my keyboard and mouse in. I didn't hook it up to the internet because I don't trust that shit.
Yeah.
I fired it up, and it had an odd operating system that I wasn't familiar with.
It looked like a Google tablet.
Yeah. So it's booting, and I'm like, fuck, how old is this thing? Because it's taken forever. I mean, my computer is not super new, and it boots in.
Well, based on the photo of the RAM you sent me, which is
Windows
DDR3,
98.
and I think they're at the DDR4, DDR5 now, it's probably about 8 years old.
Well, it said, when I looked up that Kingston RAM, it said that particular one, the date ranges were from like 2008 to 2010.
Okay, so I wasn't too far off.
So, 10, 15 maybe years old. So I fired it up. It took, a minute or so for the boot screen to go through and all that. I'm like, okay, it was in the BIOS screen for quite a few minutes, actually. So it finally booted, and it had this operating system on it that I wasn't familiar with, but I kind of had a hunch that it was Linux.
Okay.
And I looked up the operating system, and the operating system is more of like a cloud-based kind of operating system, something that does it was basically, it wasn't really designed for having stuff on the computer. It was more designed for
kind of like what they used to call a netbook. The difference between a netbook and a notebook is a netbook is basically to get you online, and you can only install apps like a cell phone.
Yeah, it's literally for internet type stuff only.
Well, and that was you're running a stripped down version of Ubuntu.
Yes,
because they have a full version of Ubuntu. I actually used Ubuntu on my tech shop computer. Whenever I get a computer and that Windows would tell me was blank and wanted me to format, I would just hook up to Ubuntu. Ubuntu's like, hey, here's all your files. What do you want to do with them? So then I'd copy them on another hard drive and give them back to the customer.
Nice. So yeah, it was running Ubuntu, the Linux-based operating system, and so I'm dicking around with it, and I was surprised I was able to get into it. No password, no nothing. It fired up. It went right to the desktop. Okay. So I started fiddle fucking with it a little bit. I know a little bit about computers, not a whole lot, but
and if you're familiar with Android phones or iPhones, you're gonna have a lot easier time around Ubuntu than if you've only looked at Windows your entire life.
Exactly. So I found the files applications, and I went in and took a little look-see. I'm looking for pictures, and because that's always the first thing. Somebody finds your phone or somebody finds your computer or anything like that, the first thing they're going through is your fucking pictures. I can guarantee you that.
For honeymoon pictures of your wife.
Every time I find a fucking SD card on the ground or something, I'm looking for fucking titties. So anyway,
Big or
I'm
small,
going
he
through-
loves them all.
That's right. So no pictures on there. It did have one picture of like a coloring book or something. I didn't think nothing of it. But what I did find was all these documents of the builder that, one of the builders that I work for, which I thought was interesting. It was the whole build process from start to finish of one particular home.
And we're not going to say what the building company name is.
No.
But like if you're in Canada and you wanted to get coffee, you could go to like Tim Hortons. So yeah, coffee from Tim Hortons is good.
Yeah. So I'm looking at all this paperwork and stuff, and I'm seeing one particular name stand out above all. And then I get down to the bottom of the files list, and wouldn't you know it, if there wasn't tax returns on there from 2023.
Yeah, there's nothing valuable you can get off anyone's tax returns.
No, not at all. Nothing like your fucking social security number of you, your wife, and your 3 daughters.
Your address, how much money
your
you made last year.
addresses. I know where you were from. I know where you grew up. I know what your address was before you moved down here. I know that I know who your current employer is.
And so
how stupid can you be?
If you were like, I don't know, the type of guy who's into identity theft, you just got everything you needed.
Everything I needed to steal 5 identities.
So first thing we learned is just because these people are using Ubuntu doesn't mean they're smart.
No.
But the moral of the story, this person works for the city. I won't say which one. So when you're looking around your city and you're thinking, well, boy, this place is run like shit. Who runs this type of stuff? The type of person who throws a perfectly working computer in the trash without pulling the hard drive that has all their tax information or wife's tax information. These are the type of people who are running your city. So yeah, if they're that devil may care when it comes to their own personal information, just imagine of how lackluster they are when it comes to yours.
Yeah, no shit. I'm also not fond of the fact that between him and his wife, they make $288,000 a year.
Well, keep in mind, Cape Coral, their mayor, or my mayor. It's funny how these things work, right? We need things done, they get to vote on it. But when they want shit done, we don't get to vote on it, they get to vote on it. So color me not surprised when the city council approved a $5,000 a month raise on top of the salary for the mayor and $3,000 a month raise on top of the salary for each city council member because of cost of inflation, and they're super busy. But for the rest of you fucking common unwashed masses, give us $35,000 for city water, fuckers, because we need your money. You can afford it. We each need $3,000 extra a month, but you can cough up $32,000.
But that's not a pay raise. It's a stipend, isn't it?
It's bullshit is what it is.
Well, I totally agree. But I've heard a lot about that, even though I'm not a Cape resident. But I don't understand how they don't get beat down in the parking lot.
Because no one pays attention.
After a council meeting or something.
Because the only people who pay attention are in their 70s and can barely wield a fucking goddamn cane, let alone a fist.
And even if that's the case, what are they actually going to do or accomplish?
Yeah.
What are they really going to do? Yeah, they can, okay, so we've got a bunch of board members and we've got a bunch of, older folks that are on boards, and they're super involved in the city and in community development and all that stuff, but what are you really going to do?
It's the same city that was giving out.
I mean, you watch some of the footage from those council meetings over there, and I mean, people are getting arrested, and there's some violent shit going on at those meetings.
Well, and this is the same city that when they rolled out these new 83-gallon trash cans 8 years ago, whenever that was, upgraded to these new humongous trash cans that are picked up by the robo-arm. There was news stories where they're giving old 80-year-old women like fucking fines and threats to fines because they were pushing the trash can up in front of their garage door instead of pushing around on the side. It's like, she's 80. She can't push this thing when it's fucking empty because it weighs 90 pounds. It's a 110 gallon fucking trash can. Yeah. Perhaps you should have thought about that. Hey, let's look how many people. What portion of our population is over X amount who aren't going to be able to push these things through grass, and then maybe opt to give them a smaller trash can.
All they care about is having one less person on the truck, because the arm does the work of the second guy who's not driving.
Mm-hmm.
Let me tell you how I was born and raised at Cape Coral. I almost get sick when I have to fucking say that, because I fucking hate that town.
It's not like you're born in Lehigh. Settle down, Sally.
I was going to say, that's not something to brag about.
Yeah, no, I'm not bragging. Trust me, I'm not fucking bragging at all.
Hey, I like Cape Coral farther than Fort Myers. I lived in Fort Myers twice, and I always come back to the Cape.
I'm not a huge fan. I mean, especially after hearing those 2 fucking murder stories that we were talking about earlier.
Severed so between friends.
You know, I lost my train of thought because you fucked me up, so thank you.
Well, just make sure that you don't piss your roommate off and she won't chop you up with a machete and try to drag your head out the window to run from the cops.
No, you're confusing the female with the crazy naked lady who went down in the sewer.
Yeah, you mean my wife?
Yeah. Yeah, exactly.
Speaking of crazy naked people, if you want to prevent me, Mike, and Morgan from having to get crazy naked just to get some attention, do us a favor and head over to our website, What's in Your Head Podcast, and sign up and subscribe for Patreon. It goes a long way to help us keep the lights on over here and get things done. We want to thank each and every one of you for your continued support over all these years, and happy Father's Day to all the papas. We're going to keep it a tight 117 minutes tonight because I got another podcast to do in about 45 minutes. So we want to thank each and every one of you for all hanging out, and we will talk to you all next week.
This has been a Digital 410 production.